quality, consistency, and the quickest turnaround times in the grading industry, we are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com. Experience, quality, consistency, and the quickest turnaround times in the grading industry, we are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com.
Hi, I'm Isaac Alpert, a longtime card collector and the co-founder of the Penny Sleever. My wife and I started the Penny Sleever with a simple premise in mind: to offer collectors top quality supplies at fair prices. We offer a full range of hobby supplies, and we'll get them to you fast. Whether you're looking for a 260-point magnetic for that oversized patch card, or a slew of semi-rigids for your next PSA submission, the Penny Sleever has you covered. Shop now at thepennysleever.com and use the promo code SCNation to get 10% off your first order. That's SCNation for 10% off at thepennysleever.com. The Penny Sleever. Top quality supplies, fair prices.
Hi, I'm Danny Black.
And I'm John Newman.
Welcome to Card Mentions.
What's up?
What is going on?
No pinch mentions today. I'm back in the lineup. I don't know if I'm new and improved. I'm just the same, but I'm just here.
I was about to say, filling in for John Newman is John Newman.
Yeah, I'm pinch hitting for the pinch hitters. Episode 57, like the set you're trying to put together.
Yep.
We agreed on this topic, which I think is a good one. Best baseball cards of non-Hall of Famers. I'll just say I've got 11 or 12 cards on my list, and probably 60-70% of them are sort of like chalk picks, what you expect. Probably would be the same on a lot of other people's lists. And then there's some that might be off the beaten path. So I'll just say that with my list.
I'm also hoping, first of all, hello to everybody. Hello, Stux, Ruben. Good evening. I roughly came up with a small list as per the show title. Loving that.
Yeah, you got to interactive. You got to.
And I know you guys don't believe it. John and I have not shared our full list with each other.
No, we don't like to do that. I think we like to spontaneity. Obviously, some of the picks are going to be the same. You get a list of 10 to 15 cards. You're not going to have all different. You're not going to have 30. If we each had 15, we're not going to have 30 different cards. Unless we shared our list and made a point not to have the same one. We don't do that. So
no, this is all honest and organic. What's up, Hodges? Appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a like and a follow.
Ruben's like, I'm starting the show without you guys.
Yeah, Ruben, you're going to leave us in the dust. Normally, John and I try to figure out who's going to go first.
Ruben's like, you guys talk too much. Here we go.
Yeah, let's just get to the card.
He hit liftoff. He's like 3, 2, 1.
No foreplay for Ruben.
Gets right into it. Hey, man, save time.
Okay. Well, do you want to start with the one that we agreed? Well, we think is the most obvious.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a good one by Orlando right off the top. It didn't make my list. I will say that. You won't see
I know we're already getting busted.
Yeah. All right, here we go. This is chalk, right? The 63 Topps Pete Rose rookie. This card acts like Pete's in the Hall already. And we all know at this moment he's not, and we just lost him. I'm hoping. I always said that the Hall is going to put him in when he passes away. And so now we're at that point. And I just wonder if and when, will that Newman prophecy come true? Because that's what I think was the plan all along. Hasn't happened yet, so this card qualifies for this list. I mean, but when you try to buy this card, I got to say, I don't own one of these at the moment. And sometimes I'll search for one. And this thing is priced as if Pete's already in the Hall. And I get it.
Absolutely.
Like, no one's arguing whether Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer. It's just the band that's preventing him. Like when we have debates, Dave Parker, Steve Garvey, about whether they're Hall worthy or whoever, Harold Baines, and insert whatever name. Pete Rose would never be on that list. Pete Rose is only not in the Hall for the one major reason.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think the odds are he gets in?
Like, what's the time span? Like, ever? 5 to 10 years?
It was a betting joke.
Yeah. Well, I think he does now that unfortunately he's no longer with us. I think
I agree with you, sadly.
Because the guys that he's an easy Hall of Famer. If he was on the ballot, he should be unanimous. Like, if you take away what happened and he was just as a player, there'd be no one that shouldn't vote. No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, part of me says he did it to himself. The other part of me says he's paid his due and it's time to let him in. So
yeah, that one you picked that too, right?
Yeah, I had it also. I think that's one of the easy ones. Now, I will throw Ruben's list up real quick, and I will say some of these are on mine, not all of them by any means.
Let's see. I'm trying to count. Man, one of these, Ruben's I'm gonna be off the Christmas card list that I'm not on. So,
card mentions. Okay, well then, do you want to lead it off on the non-chalk cards, even though we have another one later?
All right, this one I don't know how many. I don't know how many people would have this card. It would probably make a few people's list. Anyone that's heard my content knows I'm a fanboy and a lover of this card, and it is iconic, and it is a guy that's obviously not in the Hall. Maybe that should be. I think he should be, and I love this card. It cost me a lot of money chasing it back in 1984. But there it is, 84 Donruss, Don Mattingly. This would be one of my favorite cards with no qualifiers. So the fact that we make a qualified guy's not in the Hall, this really shot up my list. I'm not going to even say it's my number one card, but it's pretty close to it. And everyone knows I like big face rookies, and I cannot lie. And this is, Griffey 89 Upper Deck. This one.
I'm only sorry the car's not made out of acetate.
That's the only thing. If they ever make like a heritage version and it's acetate, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I don't buy a lot of new stuff, I might cross the picket line that day.
It might be your new
ever happens.
I stayed away from this because I knew you were going to pick this card.
You did, yeah. This is like low hanging,
and it's New York. I was happy to skip it. So,
yeah, even Orioles fans though, like he wasn't a trash. Like even Orioles fans have a little.
Yeah, no, and I love this card. Actually, the 84 Topps Mattingly was in the first box I ever broke. Was 84 Topps.
The problem I have with this card today is when I get them, I don't want to sell them. No matter how many I have, I'm always like, I'm just going to keep them all. And then I'm like, how many do you need, Newman? So they always, eventually, some of them make it back into the dealer showcase of mine. But there's some in this room. There's one I'm looking at. I can see it from here. So on the wall, not behind me, but over there.
I'll give John a chance to read this and laugh at me. We haven't talked about this yet. No, Justin Tucker is not in my PC.
You know what? He made my fan, not this year, but in past years, And he got me in a couple fantasy league playoffs because of his leg.
The
And
only
that's
thing I
tough
can
for a Steeler fan, but he, maybe not this year, but best kicker in football, man. That dude was automatic.
Matty K, even today, 84 Dunrush strikes me as one of the most attractive
Yep.
sets ever. That was the year Dunrush made the leap. Yep.
Yep.
I think there's
think about the couple releases before 84 Donruss and then put them up against it's like single A to major leagues. Like, I don't know what happened.
Early
I don't know what
happened. Horrible.
Yeah. I don't know what happened in late 83 and where. I'd love to know the story. If anyone knows and wants to put comments in, like, what was the story? Like, did they have a new designer? How did this happen?
They went out and
after
got
2 terrible years, where did this come out of? Like left field, literally, pun intended.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I definitely left you Mattingly.
That one was probably one of the first ones I wrote down.
I'm gonna throw another one up. Will you throw up the one you have in with the orange background? Because somebody mentioned it in the chat.
1958, Roger Maris, man. There's obviously his rookie. Another one of those guys that you can debate both sides should be in. Here's why he's not. Roger Maris had one of the greatest years in baseball history. That's not to be debated.
And the year before and the year after weren't bad either. People forget that.
Yeah.
Back-to-back MVP.
I will say this. I'm not a stickler. In other words, I'm not crushed that he's not in the Hall, and I wouldn't be crushed or against it if it came out that he was inducted. Like, I don't feel strong. I'm sort of on the fence, sort of as he is. So whatever happens, I'm not waving a pennant against it or for it either way. Like, if he gets in, I won't be like, oh man, they dropped the ball here. And if he doesn't get in, I'm not saying, man, such a like it's a crime.
I'm embarrassed. I forgot this card. Good call in yours.
Yeah, this card has, based on the criteria, guy not in the Hall. This could change if like Rose gets in. That Rose rookie comes off the list. Roger Maris gets inducted by the veteran committee. This card no longer qualifies. But at the moment, like, I had to put it on here.
Well, and this is true. You can't tell the history of baseball without mentioning Roger Maris.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, if it's in Ken Burns, then it qualifies.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pull it off. You want me to pull it off here? There you
go. The chat is doing a great job of nailing some tonight.
They're sniffing out my picks.
Well, not only that, I was going to take a turn, and my first one on my list was 14-15, whichever you prefer, the Shoeless Joe, Cracker Jack.
All right. Yeah, that's a nice card. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
And here's another guy that should be in the Hall from what all the reports say. Wasn't in on this Black Sox scandal, and then obviously Hall of Fame worthy outside of that. And here's another guy. I think if Pete Rose ever gets in, Shoeless gets in. Can you imagine that year? Unfortunately, they're both no longer with us.
I was about to say it wouldn't be a lot of speeches.
No, but you'd have obviously family representation. You'd have some baseball historians, maybe coming up there and like saying, hey, it's about time and take out all the other stuff. These were two of the greatest players. Another great pick there by Stooks with the euchre. But he's in. We talked about that. Yep. Oh yeah, this does not qualify, Stooks. Like, it's a great pick. I'm not picking on you. He actually's in. I was not sure either. I had to ask Danny. I thought he was, and sure enough, he was in the media wing.
And I'll say to the chat also, the greatest induction speech in the history of induction speeches. You laughed the whole time. If wait till we're finished at least, but then
Yeah,
go up.
don't leave yet. Don't leave just yet. I'll make you laugh a couple times. Maybe it's not as much as euchre, but
Yeah.
well, I'll give it the old college try, as they say.
So anyway, so the Cracker Jack Shoeless Joe, I think, is a classic card. It's artwork. And
Yeah, it's a great pick. It was on my list, but then I'm always a first card guy or rookie, right? So I'm gonna put this up now because I got a Shoeless Joe.
Okay, go
This
for
one, this is the American Caramel from 1909, and this isn't my card. I stole this photo. Truth be told, you don't need to hook me up to a lie detector test. I'll just confess, because I don't own this card. But like, how cool is this card, man? He's leaning on the bat, pre-war. Well, obviously, you're going to find most of these well loved and beat up unless you want to take out your checkbook or mortgage your house.
Yep.
But it's just a great card of a great player who, again, when we like it was said before, when we tell the story of baseball, right? Shoeless Joe's in it too, and not just for the Black Sox scandal, but for his prowess as a player as well. So yeah, it is a sassy pose. He's like, "I'm Shoeless Joe. What's up, fellas?"
Well, he's
Like,
thinking
if this picture could talk, that's what it would say.
You don't even know it's coming. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah. Another one by Stooks that I own, and I didn't put it on the list. I own this card.
It was on my list.
I didn't put it on my list, and see, again, this is why we have the greatest chat room. Now I sort of I feel guilty. It's a Brooklyn Dodger.
Well,
on top of that,
and the reason is rubber band. So
True. It's not the prowess. Although Pafko had a pretty good arm. If you're a Brooklyn Dodger fan, you know that.
Yeah, without the scarcity, though, he doesn't make anybody's list.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Shoeless off.
Yeah, goodbye, Shoeless.
Hopefully he gets in, man. I think he should be in the Hall.
I thought that they had done a lot of investigating, and I thought he was cleared. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
The rumor is there's no way he could have been in on it. He had big numbers. He had higher numbers in the World Series than his regular season. How do you do that if you're, there's reports he tried to talk his teammates out of doing it, don't do this. And so, no one knows, I guess, for sure. But listen, man, with those kind of numbers in the World Series he's throwing, Aaron Judge would sign up for that.
Yeah, really.
Right now. So put the guy in. It's a shame he's not around to enjoy the accolade, but put the dude in. Put Pete Rose in now. I know I got in a debate at the last show, just not for long, 10 minutes, with a guy that it came up. I had a card or something. He's like, he shouldn't be in the Hall. And I'm like, he definitely should be in now that he's passed away. The ban ends when you pass away. When you die in prison, they don't bury you on the prison grounds. They give your remains to your family, and you're outside the prison. So that's the analogy. Maybe not the best one, but if the prison of the banishment of the Hall was because he was alive, when he dies, he gets outside those walls. Put him in. No one will argue. Apparently never bet against the Reds, so it wasn't like he was throwing.
And he more than paid his price.
He did. And I'm not saying he's the best guy in the world and not full of himself, and his 18 million Pete Rose autographs, because the dude, I think he's still signing, quite frankly, somewhere. They're just dropping down. But put him in. Like you said, he served his time. I'll die on that hill. And I'm not.
Good to have you, Mookie.
I'm a certified expert. I took the master class in that.
Well, you are known to go to cemeteries, so
I've been to a couple, you know. Um,
Jefferson verdicts.
yeah. Put the guy in. Like, no one can argue Pete Rose, the player, shouldn't be in there. I mean, Pete Rose was baseball for a good stretch of baseball. Like he
Yeah.
was like any commercial and anything, he was the cover boy. He, like you said, he paid his price. If he didn't pay his price, then I could say, well, his debt's not paid back yet, but he
This
pays.
cracks me up because I think it's true and funny.
I'm sure there's still 3 million sticker autos sitting in the warehouse waiting for said products. There's no shortage. Bob Feller and Pete Rose, I think, are the two most
That's
like
how they.
out there.
That's what they're doing upstairs. You know it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's signings at the gates. They ask you when you get there, would you like a Pete Rose or Bob Feller auto?
Yeah, really. It comes in a gift bag, sponsored by Whatnot. Um, moving on.
Speaking of prison, and
Moving on. um, yes.
I think we're off the rails. It took what,
Who's
21 minutes? We're there.
who's the new Pete Rose Bob Feller?
Man, that's a good.
Who's at
That
every
sounds like
show?
a show. That
Who's
sounds
at
like the
every
next.
show signing?
Man, that's a good question.
That's you know who it is? It's that kid from the Sandlot.
It's the Sandlot group because they're not doing Sandlot 2.
Right.
Return of Squints, not happening. So if you're
Uh,
holding out hope, you know what? The only thing they might do, which won't help the older Sandlot guys, they might do a new Sandlot with like child actors today.
Yeah,
But the old Sandlot kids would be like, what do we get out of that? Unless they
Doc,
make them adults in the movie. Sometimes they do that where they
yeah.
put like they redo a movie and an actor that was a kid in the movie plays an adult role. So maybe they can give those guys jobs on Sandlot 2, not as themselves, or maybe as themselves grown up and these are their kids playing. Terrible script. That's why I'm in Syracuse and not Hollywood, but there you go,
He says
Hollywood.
that Doc
They're
Gooden.
running out of ideas, though. They're redoing every single movie.
Yeah, hey, send in a script. You never know.
Yeah,
Send it.
it's
Send it
like
to
only 5 pages. The guys grow up, the kids grow up, they have kids, and now we do this again. Actually, that's 1 page. That's 1 page.
Doc Gooden is always signing, and so is Lawrence Taylor.
Not good to know. He sometimes stiffs and doesn't show.
Oh, really?
He might be advertised a lot, but he's a famous like cancellation or no show guy.
Mm.
So there you go.
Orlando says, "Stick to card collecting, John."
I'm trying.
Orlando, be careful. Your next appearance on Hobby Hotline will be November.
Speaking of movies, though, I did have a director of a new hobby movie. I'm going to be talking to him soon and got to screen the movie. The movie's actually pretty good.
That's awesome.
So,
that's good stuff. Whose turn is it?
You can go. You can go. I'm going to get a couple more of these in the room here.
I'm going to throw out a Tommy John rookie, 64 tops. I have complete respect for what Tommy John did. Look at his numbers after his surgery. The amount of years he pitched, and his surgery is not like today. I mean, they were in there cutting apart and sewing together in a whole different way than they do it now. I just think it's amazing, and he was willing to be the guinea pig, and that takes balls. So I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame on his numbers, but certainly for having the surgery named after you. I mean, it's Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. This one didn't really make my list. I think Tommy John was a very good pitcher, good to very good pitcher. I think he just pitched a long time. He does have his name on the surgery. Is that enough to get you on my list? I said no, But I won't argue with he's probably a borderline Hall of Famer. He's a borderline.
Yeah, if anybody looks up his numbers, you'll be surprised. He's a lot closer than I think people realize. 280 wins. There you go.
Yeah, which nowadays today's pitchers, if anyone hits 280, um, they're in. So again, 300 was the mark during his era, but that ain't gonna happen anymore. We talked about this on Hobby Hotline the other day. So, yeah, I can't argue with this. Now, you've convinced me. I've dropped down the weapon, and I think probably should be in. I think it's hard to compare pitchers from different eras.
I'm not saying the guy's a Hall of Famer necessarily, but I have him on my list. I think he deserved a mention when we did this topic.
Yeah. Even when I think, not to make this a Hall of Fame show, like CC doesn't, I'm not I'm not picketing, but I never looked at, especially late in his career. I'm like, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. Like, he's very good. Here he is. He's in the Hall this year. So,
he never pitched in your division now.
No, but listen, dude. I've played. I know who he is. It's not like
no. But I'm saying, you know how some guys you see more often. You just get a different thing.
Well, he's going in the Halls of Yankees, so he pitched. Now I'm not a Yankee fan any longer, but I'm not that far from New York City, and it's still my hometown. So he never. You know how you watch a player during the career, and you're already making that assessment. And you're like, oh, man, he's a lock for the Hall. I never said that with CC. Same thing with, Scott Rowland. I never said with Scott Rowland, this guy's.
I agree with you.
I put CC in that category. Now, when you really take a step back and look at the body work and the numbers, it's hard to argue against it, too. So I get it. It just didn't feel that way watching it live. It's when you look at it after it's over and you're like, it's hard not to put a guy if you took the name off and I didn't know who it was and said, does player A, are these Hall of Fame worthy? I'd have to say yes.
The run with Milwaukee, I felt like you knew something special was happening. When he got traded over there and pitched, every other day for a couple months and pulled them into the playoffs. I don't know. He's a close one for me. I'm a small Hall guy anyway.
Yeah.
Ruben says CC was a Hall of Famer at Golden Corral. Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out to Golden Corral. By the way, we are accepting them as a sponsor if they're interested.
I don't think I've ever ate there. You're gonna think I'm
not. Maybe buffet. That's
maybe once or twice, but a while ago. I don't know how they are now, but. It was
probably just as greasy and as when you were there. All right, whose turn is it?
I'm gonna go because I think we've talked that we both picked this card. I saw it mentioned in the chat room a couple times. Just so you know, kids at home, I didn't block out the bat knob. I think that just gave away what this is. Now, no one's going to argue Billy Ripken, and I know you get to see him up close, or you did get to see him up close. He's not known for his baseball prowess, but this card is one of the most iconic cards of the hobby, and it's not for Billy Ripken's 219 career batting average. We all know why. It's a card that's still in demand today, 35 years. How many cards can you say that with that aren't really like vintage, like a Mantle rookie, right? How many cards can you say that with from the 80s that are still this much in demand today? This is one that checks that box. And so, that's a great question by Stooks. Where did this bat wind up?
I thought there's different stories, but I thought it was just destroyed, to be honest.
Man, that's tragic. Can you imagine this being in the hall, but the hall has to put like a black box over it in the showcase?
Do they do the white box, or do they do the scribble?
Well, they change it every week. It changes every week in the display case. It's the black box week. It's the white scribble week.
Uh,
It's the saw cut week. You know, that was funny.
Thank you.
Where are you gonna get jokes like that?
Right? For free.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm telling you. That it's a
I
weird
don't know if
perspective.
this bat's destroyed. Someone's got to own this.
Now, Ruben, I'm not even putting that up. That's rough, buddy. He says Kevin Costner took it to Cal's house. Jason says, did we already say the 57 Ted Kluszewski? No.
You didn't. Man, I'm going to be on some people's like dartboards. And they're going to be throwing steel tips at me.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I saw someone actually make a fake one.
An art card, yeah.
Yeah. But can you imagine if Fanatics acquired the real Billy Ripken F-Face card and took the knob off and made like the Major League debut patches, a 101. What does that bring? We've just seen the Skeens patch card pulled.
Do you think it's sacrilegious to cut up that bat, though?
I do, but as the Fanatics does a lot of sacrilegious things. So just add that to the next slide.
Let's just call it as we see it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you can imagine the chase for that. People are chasing the 89 Fleer card. It's just a picture. Can you imagine the chase for the actual knob?
I just want to know how many times you're going to say knob in one episode.
It's a drinking game. Every time I say knob, everyone take a sip or more than one sip.
That's too funny. Yes, we both had Bill Ripken on the list, so that's why we got it out of the way. That was another one that to us anyway, we thought was chalk.
Yeah, and I do feel seeing some of the choices in the chat room. I'm not gonna lie. I feel guilty. I didn't put some of these on. You miss sometimes. You're looking one way, and the curve. You're looking fastball, and the curveball sneaks in the back door, and you're going back. You're walking to the back to the bench. Like, how did that happen? So that's what happens when we do lists. We forget stuff.
But that's why we love doing it. We learn as much as we share.
Yeah.
Ruben says Fanatics would take a Brooks Robinson game used glove and cut up those bastards.
Dude, if they got the original copy of the Declaration of Independence, there'd be
think of all the cut autos. Think of all the cut autos, John.
Transcendent would be set for the next 20 years. Would cut out, and they wouldn't even blink and bat an eye, man.
The worst part is I love the Transcendence.
Yeah, no, it's a great product if you have the money. I've never opened it. I
just don't want to know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Just don't tell me where it came from.
The Beatles. I saw one, there's the 4 Beatles sign. Like, holy crap. Yeah.
Oh.
And that was a cut from something. Maybe the original record deal.
Yeah. So that's horrible. It was the night they met when they made,
Yeah. It was when they formed their middle school band.
Right. Now I forgot whose turn it is.
I put that one out there because I knew we both had it.
So it's on me. All right. So next on my list. Okay. I took 70 and 71 Thurman Munson.
All right.
Basically because we have no rules. And I like both cards for different reasons. You get the rookie and you get the beautiful Munson. I don't know if you picked it. That was my only concern.
All right. So I'm gonna put up a slide here. I picked 2 cards from the 71 set. One of them. Sorry for the terrible cut and paste job. But there's 7. I don't know why I did this because I own both of these cards. I just was lazy. They're not out where I can just grab them. So I just copied it. I just copied and paste. So I own multiple copies actually of each of these cards. So I just cheated and being lazy, and I just copied and pasted from Google. 71. Um, so there you go. 71 tops, right? Everyone knows these are condition sensitive. This Munson in action, right, with the A's guy sliding across the plate. Um, it's just and it's a better looking card than his rookie card. And in many cases, it brings more money than his rookie card. That's not what it's about, but that's just a
Well,
statement
it's
of
also
fact.
ridiculously hard to find in good condition.
Yep. And 71 Garvey, right? Another guy that's on the cusp of the Hall. I think he should be in. What is it? 14 Gold Gloves or 14 All Stars? Yes, something like that. Like that's come on. Like
We'll
I'm not
agree to
saying
disagree
he's
on that.
Babe Ruth. I'm not arguing that he's Babe Ruth or Ty Cobb. I'm
He's
just arguing
welcome.
that he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's welcome to buy a ticket.
Well, right now he has to. Probably not. They probably give him. They let him in the back door, but
Yeah.
you know, no, I did. Maybe Jason Schwartz was probably more of an influence because I had him on the podcast and we kind of both took up the flag for probably 20 minutes. But this set it isn't aesthetically great, but because it's black bordered, again condition sensitive, and you have Garvey, a guy I think should be in. I think it's a great looking card, like the pose. He's like kind of in fielding position with his glove on. And the Munson is just a better looking in action card. I think people would say if that could be really his rookie card, they'd sign a petition, right? So I just picked these two, put them on one slide, two birds, one stone. There you
go. That's why I said both Munsons, because there's the rookie card, but this is the better looking card.
Yeah, no, I won't argue with you, but
this to me is one of the best looking in action shots. In the vintage era,
it is. There's people. People think like the 52 Topps is man a rookie. There's people who think that actually is Munson's rookie too. There's maybe the same group thinks those are each their.
Well, and the Johnny bench.
The 69 bench.
Well, because they get confused with the Topps All-Star Rookie Cup.
Yeah. A lot of people think those are the rookies.
Yeah. No, and if anybody doesn't know, it's an All-Star Cup. It means they were an All-Star.
Yeah.
Rookie. Yeah.
All right, I think it's your turn.
All right. Well, I did Munson, but I'll throw out another one. 77 Dale Murphy.
Yeah, I saw 81 the upper deck reverse negative. I didn't pick any Murphy cards, but for sure, he's another guy right on that line, right? And I got, we talk about guys I got to see a lot of because the Braves are in the Mets division. I've seen plenty of Murphy's heroics against the Mets growing up and then into the 80s and early 90s. And so, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He used to scare me as a Mets fan. And, he had a couple of years where he was really the guy in baseball, or one of them. He's 6 Corbin Roberts.
Yep.
But if we're doing that, don't forget the 1990 Fleer or Uribe. That's almost $100 million.
Hey, you need the Frank Thomas era. Is that on your list?
Yeah.
My bad. You want to go?
Uribe. Yeah, this. Who are we talking about? I lost track.
Or are you? You go, whoever you want.
All right. This is a guy, and he's come up on different various versions of this show on different lists. This is a guy that I don't like, but when you're putting these lists on, you got to be honest, right? And listen, he's another guy that's not in the Hall. It should be in the Hall for what he did before he started using. And this card, I didn't pick the regular one. Let me put it up there. 86 Topps traded Barry Bonds, but the Tiffany version. And I don't own this card. This is another copy and paste job by yours truly. But I wouldn't mind owning this card. Now, I'm not actively like going out there trying to get it, but if one crossed my path, and I'm not a Barry Bonds guy. I think he's, you know what, starts with an A. I think he's not a nice guy, but one heck of a baseball player before he used, and then obviously even more after using. But what he did before was definitely Hall of Fame worthy. It's just sad that he had to change the direction of his career in a negative connotation. So this is just going to be an iconic card. There's people who believe Barry Bonds will eventually be in the Hall, and this card will obviously, it's not cheap now, but it'll get less cheaper if on the day he ever gets.
Some would even say
put in
more
the Hall of Fame.
expensive.
Yeah, I like to use extra words. It makes me sound more intelligent, or less intelligent in that case.
I think the Tiffany's a great call. I didn't put it on my list. I came really close, but I decided to stay away from the steroids. Great call on this one, John.
Yeah, and I don't like them. Like everyone knows,
it's a classic card.
Yeah, I'm just like, I got to put it on the list. I got to be.
And
fair.
I don't know if you saw, but Orlando says that he has the Tiffany.
Yeah, I know. I knew he had some Tiffany, so I'm not surprised. And listen, I'm sure he doesn't love the Bonds Part 2, but he loves that card, right? And same thing here. If and I agree with that. I think they will. You know, I think it's when, not so much if.
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't want to listen. The only reason I would have picked Mossy to put on the screen is just to make myself look slightly less ugly, and I thought that wouldn't be fair. It would be disingenuous to the list to do that, so I didn't. But the thought was there.
That's funny.
He looked like Herman Munster. Like Herman Munster was obviously.
Didn't you use him on our ugly card episode?
Yeah, I did. That was the low hanging fruit. Like that one, that would be on everyone's list that knows him or knows what he looks like. He always, every time I see that card, I think it's Fred Gwynn who played Herman Munster. Without, like, they could have hired Don Mossy and saved the whole makeup department budget. Like, just go out there. Here's your line. Stomp your feet, take the cleats off, put these big brick shoes on, go out there, stomp your feet, do a laugh, and say "Grandpa" a couple times, and then we'll get you back to the stadium, and you won't miss your start. So
Ruben, this just scares me that you should not be allowed to watch Nick at Night. Ruben should not be allowed to watch Nick at Night. That's all I'm saying.
Here's the line of the night from Mookie. I put it up there. Fred Gwynn couldn't hit like Tony. That is very true. He was very tall, and his strike zone was too big, and so they'd always get him on the low outside fastball. He wouldn't get the bat off his shoulder.
Too funny. Too funny. Well, Orlando guessed my next one, so I might as well throw it up.
Yeah, the score, is this
the
it?
90 score, Bo Jackson. Bat, football, baseball. I have it in my case over here. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. I don't care what grade. I don't, I'll like you said, I pick them up. It's hard to sell them. I just love the card. I think Bo Jackson is one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in person, and I may ever see him in my entire life. I just think his athletic ability was beyond. And it's just sort of real tragedy that he got hurt. I think we missed out on somebody who would have been just as amazing as a Shohei Ohtani type of talent. So I'll take the 90 score, black and white Bo.
Yeah, I like that pick. I didn't pick it, but I think I didn't pick it because I don't know. I knew you would pick it, and it doesn't. I like the card. I don't hold it in the same regale as you do. So,
Oh yeah,
and that's not to besmirch the card. It's an iconic card. It's just not. It's higher on your list than it is mine. I guess I just saw so many of them that it's one of those cards I sort of take for granted. Bo, climb walls to get balls. Check out Orlando's new rap album, Balls to the Wall. It's dropping Tuesday.
Also known as where there's a will, there's a way. The quest to get balls from the wall. Okay. So that's on you.
All right, I only have 2 left, so I'll do my next one.
I'm almost out also, so.
All right, I'll do one, and then you do one. This one, I tried to go really off grid on 2 of them, and this I think is really one of them. Although maybe people will disagree. I'll let me put it on the screen here. 1933 Grouty, Lefty O'Doul. Lefty O'Doul is, I was surprised that he's not a Hall of Famer. He has a lifetime batting average of 349. He has the highest career batting average of a person not in the Hall of Fame. Imagine, his career, he has like over 1,000 hits, almost 4,000 at bats, or whatever that makes it 349 batting average. Remember the era he played in, too. Some of those numbers are not going to match up in today's era. But if you bat 349 for your career and you have over 3,000 at bats, it's not like he has 600 at bats and he batted 349. If you have over $3,000 in at bats and your lifetime batting average is 349 and you're not in the Hall, I gotta disagree with that. So when I thought about poster boys for Hall of Fame cards that are not Hall of Famers, this one really at one of the tops of my list. And I think a reason I put it there is I'm like, I don't think people realize some of this stuff. So that's one of my, if you want to call it educational cards, right? People who don't realize, and I'm not saying Lefty O'Doul is an all-time great. He was a pitcher too, I believe. He broke out with the Yankees as a pitcher. I could be wrong there, but you know what? That had nothing to do with it, Ruben. Although I can't prove it. I'm just saying it had nothing to do. The 349 career average was what swayed me with this card. And I will say, for the numbers this guy put up, this card is actually relatively, I talked about when we do these lists, right?
Yep.
Cards then get on my want list. This card actually jumped onto my want list because of the significance to me and the fact that it's not crazy expensive and you can have one of these. And I don't think he ever gets in at this point, but come on, man, 349 lifetime batting average. I don't know what else.
Ruben wants to know if it's true that he created the non-alcoholic beer. It was actually his entire family. So it was the O'Douls.
Yeah. So now he has. So the legend grows literally by the minute. Yeah, see, those are the great stories, right? I didn't know Rick Stevenson's lifetime. Now I do.
Yep, 336, evidently. All right. I've got one, but there's 2 clauses, and I need your help on both of them. If I'm correct, Lippman Pike is not in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know that he has a card other than the historical set that was put out in the 80s or 90s.
Oh, yeah, that's a card.
So
I'm gonna call. If I'm the judge, I say that's good. That's good
for the win.
Good.
I'll take Lippman Pike, who was one of the first stars of baseball. He was the first Jewish star. not the first Jewish star, the first Jewish athlete who was good in baseball. And other than that one set, he needs cards. Never got them.
Yeah, I would have been nice to have pre-war era card of him to chase, right? Probably would be a little on the pricey side, but still doesn't make it any less fun, right? Um, yeah, that counts. I mean, I think people will say, well, it's kind of an aftermarket card. It's like the Conlon set. Remember that? Still a card, right? My next
Yep.
pick is going to be. Some people could argue it out. I won't. I won't put it up there. I want to talk about Lippman Pike, but he was really one of the first baseball superstars, one of the first, and obviously with the name of the show and his nationality and heritage, it's definitely a good call. I didn't think of it. I know about the card. I just didn't. I didn't think of it and figured, maybe I tried to stick in playing days as much as it's just my own criteria. I don't think it's a rule we talked about. It's just something I pinned on myself. But I like this. I like this pick.
And
And I
also,
for Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, I just want to let Pike to get a little recognition.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I don't think. I think that's he probably should be in the Hall of Fame. And not on this eligible to be on this list to begin with. I read a book that was written about him, very short book with illustrations, and I actually read it. And it's on my podcast YouTube, probably over a little, maybe 14 months ago. So it's a 20-minute way to learn a little bit more about Lippman Pike. That I literally just read the book with a camera on me. Um, I got some compliments on that. So if you want to learn more about Lippman and you don't mind hearing and seeing me at the same time, one
Especially
might
if you
not be
can't
mutual.
read, John will be
Yeah,
there.
I'll fill it in for you. Get tucked in, turn on YouTube, and away we will go. So, but no, it's a great pick, and probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe someday, someone will really vouch and go to bat, and justice will be served, and not just Lippman Pike, but some other guys, Lefty O'Doul, Pete Rose, all the guys we talked about, and that sort of thing.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch. You got another one?
Yeah, this is my last one. This
Perfect.
is this is when we talk about best cards, this one straddles the line because it's a postcard, but it's an old postcard, so it's not like it's a new commemorative postcard. And if you
Yeah.
love the movie Field of Dreams, you'll know who this guy is. If you're not a fan of Field of Dreams or a baseball guy, you might not know. But Doc Moonlight Graham, right? In the movie, played by the old version, played by Charlton Heston, and the young version, played by Syracuse's own Frank Whaley, who, when I was setting up at the regional market many moons ago, after that movie was out a few years, came up to my card table just as a regular patron, and I'm like looking at him like it's Frank Whaley, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, Field of Dreams is one of my favorite movies. He goes, oh man, that's cool to hear. Uh, and I think he bought something. So I sold something to the guy that played Doc Moonlight Graham on Field of Dreams, who's a Syracuse. He's been in a lot of movies, but he's a Syracuse native, and I think he still has family in the area, so he's here in the area sometimes. So this is a postcard from 1908, 1909, by the Rose Company. But a lot of stuff that we consider cards now from that era weren't cards in the sense we think of now where they had to come out of packs, right? They could have been newspaper strips, postcards, inserts like the Baltimore News Babe Ruth. So with that in mind, I put this card on the list. And you know how many at bats the real Moonlight Graham had?
Was it 3?
One at bat, which is
Yes.
where
Sacrifice fly, wasn't it?
I'm not sure, but he's 0
Well,
for
that
1.
wouldn't be an at bat. That would be a plate
Yeah,
appearance.
yeah. So maybe I had 2 at bats, but he was 0 for 1. So he did make it out. And it's what that character is based on in Field of Dreams. And listen, did that scene or that plot line make the movie? No, but it was a huge part of it, right? Anyone who likes Field of Dreams, that's a pivotal moment for him. And you have a legendary actor in Charlton Heston playing him, and another good actor, maybe not in the same vein as Charlton Heston, but Frank Whaley Jr. Playing the young version. It's just, I love the movie. I'm not even a Kevin Costner fan per se. I just love this movie, or I love Field of Dreams. I don't want to say this movie. Burt Lancaster. I'm saying Charlton. I always get my Burt Lancaster.
So
I get my Burt Lancasters and Charlton Heston. My bad. Sorry, Burt Lancaster. Rest in peace. But I always get those two. Like I'll say one when I'm thinking. I'll say one's name and I'm thinking the other. So yes, but thank you, Mike Petty. We always have to have fact checkers. So that was an honest mistake.
Back to back. So
yeah. So this is not a cheap item. But we didn't have any kind of financial criteria.
It's super cool.
It is super cool, Matt. You could put this, you could have this in your office and people will come in and be like, what's that? I never even heard of that guy. And you can say, oh, I think you have. You ever seen Field of Dreams? And then away you go. Right? I'm not going to tell the whole story. We know the story. So, I wanted to put something that wasn't, and I knew about this item. And then I actually seen Tony DiMarzio's post in the vintage group, and he posted it. I'm like, recently, and I'm like, that's got to make this list now because it really should. So there you go.
Great pick, Maddie quoting the movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, the way that Lancaster describes, the triple that he wants, and wrapping your arms around the base. And I think anybody who's played baseball just, feels for that.
Yeah. And, Stooks has mentioned, hey, his grave is 50 miles from him. Might be a Jefferson Burdick situation. Now, Burdick's grave is 22 miles, between 17 and 22 miles for me in an area I'm actually quite in a lot anyway. So that's how I kind of started doing that. So I don't know if hopefully someone's taking care of that gravesite, Stooks, but if not, maybe, you could be that guy if need be. I'm starting a club.
You are. So we're almost out of time. We flew through that.
I didn't even feel, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't even feel like an hour to me.
Yeah, well, that's why I was letting you know, so you had time to land the plane.
But I also was abducted by aliens a couple years ago, and since then, time just flies right by, and I don't know where it goes.
Well, this was cool. This was a fun topic. I learned a lot, first of all.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, I also learned that I forget a lot.
I learned that I learned that Burt Lancaster and Charlton Heston are the same guy to me until someone calls me on it.
And you can still get a Pete Rose and Bob Feller autograph.
Very cheaply.
Yes.
And, even if Pete gets in the hall, I don't think his autographs go up that much more. There's just that many.
I mean, it's sad but true. All right. Say goodnight, John.
Good night, John.